The Galactic Council gathered inside their grand chamber. It was a place of shining silver walls, tall crystal towers, and floating seats that hung in the air like stars. Leaders from hundreds of alien species filled the hall. Their voices mixed together, some whispering, some laughing, some hissing in strange tongues. At the center of the chamber stood a single human, Earth's ambassador. He looked small compared to the others. His suit was simple, not glowing with jewels or advanced technology. His hands shook slightly, but his eyes stayed steady. He had traveled across light years to stand before the most powerful beings in the galaxy, and now he spoke. "Honored Council," the ambassador said, his voice low but firm. "I come on behalf of Earth. Our world is in danger. A hostile fleet has entered our borders. We ask, no, we beg for protection, for help, for mercy." The words hung in the chamber. For a moment, silence. Then came the laughter. A tall alien with skin like molten gold leaned back in his chair. His voice echoed across the chamber. "Protection from us? The humans want protection?" Others joined in. Hissing, clicking, booming laughter filled the hall. A creature with wings of glass whispered to her neighbor, "Why should we waste our fleets on such fragile things?" Another alien, eyes glowing like fire, added, "Humans cannot even survive their own planet without fear. They are soft. They are weak. Why should the galaxy bleed for them?" The chamber shook with cruel amusement. The humans' plea was nothing but a joke to them. Still, the ambassador stood tall. He took a breath and tried again. "We may be weak, yes. We may be new to the stars, but we are also alive. We only ask for a chance to survive." The laughter only grew louder. One alien slammed a clawed hand on the table and barked. "If Earth cannot defend itself, then perhaps Earth does not deserve to exist at all." Whispers spread quickly among the chamber. The council members muttered, "Humans will not last the year. Their world will burn. Their species will be forgotten." The ambassador's face tightened. His heart pounded, but he did not shout. He did not cry. He only lowered his head for a moment, then looked up again with calm determination. "If that is your decision," he said softly, "then humanity will remember." His words carried no threat, no anger, only a quiet promise. But the council did not care. To them, it was nothing. The guard signaled for him to leave, and the great doors of the chamber closed behind him. The council moved on to other matters, ignoring Earth as if it was nothing more than dust among the stars. But beyond those doors, the galaxy's whispers spread like fire. Earth has begged for help. The council has mocked them. Humans will fall soon. Yet somewhere deep in those whispers was another question. Quiet but sharp, like a blade hidden in shadow. What will the humans do now? For in their laughter, the council did not see the human spirit. They did not see the stubborn fire that burned in the ambassador's eyes. They did not see the history of a species that had crawled through war, famine, disaster, and still survived. The galaxy thought Earth's plea was weak, but what came next would shock the stars. The ambassador returned to Earth in silence. His ship drifted through the cold dark of space, carrying with it the heavy weight of the council's laughter. He had begged before the galaxy's greatest powers. He had lowered his pride, spoken with honesty, and asked only for a chance at survival. And in return, Earth was mocked. When his ship landed on Earth, there were no cheers, no celebrations. He stepped out with tired eyes and simply told the waiting leaders, "The council will not help us." For a long moment, the room stayed quiet. The leaders of Earth, military commanders, scientists, diplomats, sat in silence. No one shouted. No one cursed. No one cried. Then one general leaned forward, his voice steady as stone. "Then we will help ourselves." That was the moment humanity changed. No longer would they wait for the mercy of others. No longer would they hope for kindness from the stars. The council had given them their answer. Now Earth would give theirs. In secret, plans were drawn. Beneath mountains, old bunkers that once held nuclear missiles began to glow with new life. Engineers worked day and night, forging weapons unlike any they had built before. Scientists pushed technology forward at a speed that terrified even themselves. Satellites were redirected. Factories shifted production. Every mind, every hand, every resource turned toward one single purpose: survival. The people of Earth were told only one thing: prepare. At first, the world was afraid. Civilians whispered, "If the galaxy refuses to help us, how can we fight?" But as days passed, fear hardened into resolve. The memory of the Council's laughter spread through the streets. People who once doubted now clenched their fists. Children drew pictures of starships in their notebooks. Farmers sent their harvests to feed the soldiers. Mechanics turned their shops into repair yards. Every man and woman in their own way began to carry the burden of survival. The aliens thought Earth would break. Instead, Earth became silent. Not a silence of weakness, but a silence of purpose. The first experiments began deep underground. In hidden labs, scientists tested engines that screamed with fire. They built drones that flew faster than any eye could track. They tested new armor that could turn aside weapons designed to tear through ships. Some tests failed. Some machines exploded. Some soldiers were hurt. But each failure was met with determination, not defeat. The humans only learned faster, pushed harder, built stronger. One night, in a bunker buried under a mountain, an old engineer whispered to a young recruit, "Do you know why they laughed at us? Because they do not understand us. They think strength means size. They think survival means numbers. But humans survive because we refuse to die." Meanwhile, alien spies watched from afar. Small scout ships observed the Earth's activities, reporting back to the Council. "Humans are building weapons," one spy reported. "Let them build," replied a Council member with amusement. "Nothing they create will matter. They are wasting time." The Council turned away, believing Earth's efforts were nothing more than desperate struggles before the end. They did not see the truth. They did not see the training grounds where soldiers learned to fight in silence, moving like shadows. They did not see the endless drills where pilots risked their lives to master impossible maneuvers. They did not see the unity forming across Earth, a unity no alien empire had ever known. Weeks passed. Then months. The galaxy expected Earth to beg again. But no new pleas came. No voices from Earth reached the Council chambers. Instead, only silence. That silence began to feel heavy, strange, dangerous. For silence is not always weakness. Sometimes silence means preparation. Sometimes silence means a storm is coming. And far away in their secret bunkers and hidden labs, humanity whispered the same words over and over again. "If no one will defend us, we will defend ourselves." The Council had mocked them. The galaxy had dismissed them. But deep within the heart of Earth, a quiet fire was growing. The silence was not surrender. It was resolve, and soon the stars would feel it. Deep under the mountains, far away from the eyes of the galaxy, the humans worked. The bunkers were no longer quiet storage halls. They had become living machines filled with light, noise, and fire. Sparks flew from welding tools. Engines roared in test chambers. Computers hummed with endless calculations. This was not the Earth the galaxy imagined. The Council believed humans were wasting time, playing with toys before their final destruction. But in truth, the humans were building something the galaxy had never seen. The first projects were simple upgrades: faster ships, stronger weapons, sharper defenses. But soon, the scientists began to think bigger. "What if we push beyond limits?" one whispered late at night. "What if we build not for survival but for dominance?" Another replied. So the experiments began. In a steel chamber, a prototype engine was tested. It was small, no bigger than a car. Yet when it roared to life, the walls shook and the ground trembled. The flame it produced was so bright it burned the metal floor. The engine died after only 10 seconds, but in those seconds the scientists knew they had discovered something powerful. "Too unstable," one engineer said, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Not too unstable," another corrected. "Just unfinished." They tried again, and again, and again. Every failure was written down, studied, and used to make the next version stronger. At another site, soldiers volunteered for dangerous trials. They tested new armor made of layered alloys and strange composites. The armor was heavy, crushing at first, but slowly the soldiers adapted. With each version, the suits grew lighter, stronger, faster. One young soldier, barely more than a boy, stood in his armor while bullets slammed against him. Smoke filled the air. When the firing stopped, he stepped out with a smile. "Still standing," he said proudly. The scientist nodded, writing down notes. "If even a boy can carry this," one muttered, "what will happen when an army wears it?" Elsewhere, pilots trained inside strange new cockpits. The machines they flew were small experimental fighters built to move in ways alien ships never expected. They twisted and spun through simulation chambers, pushing human reflexes to their limit. Many crashed. Some blacked out. A few were injured. But every time a pilot climbed back into the cockpit, their will grew stronger. "Aliens think we cannot fly like them." One pilot laughed after pulling out of a near-fatal dive. "Good, let them think so. The first time they see this, they will not survive it." The Council's spies saw fragments of these experiments. They reported back, "The humans are testing new weapons. The humans are building strange machines. The humans are training harder than before." The Council dismissed these reports. "They are desperate," one council member said. "Desperation cannot win a war." Another agreed. And so the galaxy turned away, blind to the storm forming on Earth. But among the humans, something more important was happening than technology. It was unity. Nations that once argued now shared blueprints. Rivals exchanged secrets. Old enemies trained side by side. The laughter of the Council had burned away pride and replaced it with something stronger: resolve. A general stood before a group of recruits and spoke. "We do not fight only for our nations. We fight for Earth. We fight for every child who deserves to see the stars. We fight because no one else will fight for us. And when the galaxy finally sees us, they will never laugh again." The recruits stood taller. Their eyes burned with the same fire. Weeks turned to months. The experiments grew bolder. A giant ship hull began to take shape in a secret dockyard, hidden beneath the ocean waves. It was larger than anything humans had built before. Its skeleton of steel and alloys stretched like the ribs of a beast waiting to awaken. Workers moved across it like ants, welding, hammering, and sealing. Knowing they were crafting more than a ship, they were building humanity's answer to the Council's mockery. At the same time, a weapon was tested in orbit. It fired a beam of energy so hot it carved through a dead asteroid like a knife through bread. The asteroid split in half, glowing with molten fire. The weapon shut down seconds later, unstable and dangerous. But the scientists smiled. It worked. That was enough. Yet with every new success came a shadow of fear. The humans knew they were walking on a knife's edge. A single mistake could kill thousands. A single leak of information could bring an alien fleet crashing down upon them before they were ready. So the work continued in silence. The world outside saw only fragments. Citizens saw soldiers training harder than ever. They saw ships lifting off in the night sky. They saw smoke rising from hidden factories. They whispered rumors of secret weapons and impossible machines, but none of them truly knew what was being built. Only a handful of leaders and scientists understood, and they kept their secrets close. The galaxy laughed at Earth's plea. The Council called them weak, but in the shadows of their own planet, the humans were changing, experiment by experiment, weapon by weapon, failure by failure, and soon the stars would learn the truth. The galaxy did not wait long to test Earth. Months after the ambassador's return, a small alien fleet entered the edge of human space. They were not the Council's strongest warriors, just a patrol force of 10 ships. To them, it was nothing more than a simple task: scare the humans, burn a few cities, and remind Earth of its place. In their eyes, this was not a war. It was punishment. The alien commander watched from his flagship, a massive vessel bristling with weapons. His crew laughed as they approached Earth's outer colonies. "Do the humans even have defenses?" one asked. "Perhaps a few old missiles," another sneered. "This will be over before dinner," the commander said coldly. They expected fear. They expected surrender. They expected silence. But what they found was something else. At a small outpost on the colony world of Vera 3, human soldiers stood ready. Their hearts pounded, but their faces stayed calm. They had been warned. The aliens were coming. This was no drill. In the command room, a young officer stared at the radar. Then bleeps. 10 enemy ships. Too many for their small force. His hands trembled as he whispered, "We can't win this." The base commander placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then we don't try to win. We try to survive. And if we survive, we strike." The soldiers nodded. They were outnumbered, outgunned, but they were not broken. The alien fleet entered orbit. The commander gave his order. "Destroy the human defenses. Show them mercy is not for the weak." Beams of energy rained down from the sky, striking the colony's shields. The ground shook. Dust and fire rose into the air. Civilians screamed in fear, but this time, the humans did not run. From underground bunkers, hidden cannons roared to life. Missiles streaked into the sky, guided by new systems tested only weeks before. They moved faster, hit harder, and struck with precision. One alien ship was caught off guard. A missile slammed into its engines, tearing through armor. The vessel spun out of control and exploded in a bright flash. The laughter on the alien flagship stopped. "Impossible!" the commander shouted. They destroyed one of ours," a crew member said in shock. The humans cheered inside their bunkers. For the first time in history, they had taken down an alien warship. The soldiers clapped each other on the back, eyes wide with disbelief. But the commander was not finished. "Burn them all," he growled. The alien fleet fired again, hammering the colony. Buildings crumbled. Fires spread. But every time the aliens struck, the humans struck back. More missiles launched. More hidden guns revealed themselves. Another alien ship fell. Then another. The commander's face grew pale. What was supposed to be easy was turning into a battle. In orbit above, human pilots launched in experimental fighters. They were small, fragile compared to the alien ships, but fast, too fast for alien targeting systems. They darted between enemy fire, unleashing their weapons at close range. One pilot shouted over comms, "They can't track us! Stay on them!" Alien crews cursed as the tiny human fighters ripped across their hulls, leaving burning scars. The commander slammed his fist on the console. These are not the weaklings we were told about. The battle raged for hours. Smoke and fire filled the skies above Vera 3. Civilians watched from shelters, praying, fearing, hoping. At last, the alien commander gave the order he had never imagined he would speak. "Retreat!" What remained of the alien fleet turned and fled into the darkness of space. Half their ships were destroyed. The rest were damaged. The humans had lost much too, cities burned, soldiers killed, but they were still standing, still fighting, still alive. On the ground, the soldiers of Vera 3 lifted their heads to the sky. Their faces were blackened with smoke and dust. Their eyes burned with exhaustion, but their hearts swelled with pride. "We did it," one whispered. "We made them run," another said, voice trembling with awe. The base commander looked to the horizon, where fires still smoldered. His voice was low but strong. "This is only the beginning." News spread quickly. Across Earth and its colonies, whispers turned to cheers. The council had laughed at their plea. The galaxy had dismissed their strength. But now the humans had shown something the stars could not ignore. They had survived the first spark of war. And that spark was only the start of a fire that would spread across the galaxy. The galaxy had expected silence after Vera 3. They thought Earth would hide. They thought the humans would lose hope. They thought the first spark of battle would crush them. Instead, something else happened. Word of the victory spread like fire through the stars. Not just among humans, but among the alien worlds, too. Rumors passed from trader to trader, from spy to spy. They destroyed 3 ships. They forced the fleet to retreat. They are not as weak as we thought. At first, many laughed off the reports. Exaggerations, they said. A lucky shot. Nothing more. But then came more news. On the colony of Solnar 2, a second alien fleet arrived. Bigger, stronger. It expected an easy victory. Instead, it lost 5 ships before fleeing. In the asteroid belts near Earth, Human fighters ambushed patrols, striking like ghosts and vanishing before they could be tracked. Everywhere the aliens pushed, the humans pushed back. Inside the grand chambers of the Galactic Council, silence replaced laughter. Council members who once mocked Earth now whispered in private meetings. This should not be possible. Their technology was primitive. Their fleets were weak. So how do they keep winning? Fear began to replace amusement. The council summoned their spies. Reports came in, each one worse than the last. The humans are building ships at an impossible speed. They are testing new weapons every week. Their pilots fight with no fear of death. One spy leaned forward, whispering, "It is not their machines we fear. It is their minds. They do not break. Every loss only makes them stronger." The council members looked at one another uneasily. Meanwhile, on Earth, the people prepared for more war. Factories worked without rest. Soldiers trained in ruined cities, learning to fight in smoke and fire. Children grew up watching fleets launch into the sky, their hearts filled with pride instead of fear. The laughter of the council had left a scar, but that scar became strength. A soldier on Vera 3 told a reporter, "They thought we would bow, but we stood, and now we will never kneel again." The video spread across human colonies, played on every screen, repeated in every street. The galaxy heard it too, and with every word, the fear grew. The aliens sent larger fleets now, dozens of ships armed with the most advanced weapons. They expected to crush humanity quickly, but humans had learned. They did not fight with numbers. They fought with tactics no alien commander could predict. They ambushed fleets in asteroid fields. They lured enemies into traps where hidden mines waited. They fought on the ground with strange, reckless bravery, charging even when outnumbered, refusing to surrender. An alien commander, moments before his defeat, whispered in shock, "They fight like they want to die." His second officer shook his head. "No, they fight like they refuse to die." In the quiet corners of the galaxy, fear became respect. Some alien species began to admire humans. They whispered to each other, "Perhaps Earth is not weak. Perhaps the Council was wrong. Perhaps the humans are dangerous." But for the great powers of the Council, admiration was not an option. Only fear, because if humans could do this in a single generation, what would they become in 1,000 years? One night, in the Council's private chambers, an old member spoke what many were already thinking. "We should have helped them when they begged. Now it is too late. They will never forget our laughter." No one disagreed. Back on Earth, fleets continued to grow. New starships, stronger than anything they had built before, lined the docks. Scientists worked day and night, creating weapons that bent the rules of physics. But more powerful than their machines was their spirit. A spirit born from pain, from mockery, from survival. The humans did not shout their victories. They did not boast. They stayed silent, their resolve unbroken, their eyes fixed on the stars. And that silence was more terrifying than any weapon. The galaxy had once laughed at Earth's plea. Now they whispered Earth's name in fear, and the war was only beginning. The war had dragged on for months. The Council kept sending fleets, each larger than the last. Yet each time humanity survived. Sometimes barely, sometimes bloodied, but always standing. Still, Earth knew they could not fight forever with scraps and tricks. The aliens had endless resources, endless ships, endless soldiers. If humanity wanted to survive, they needed more than courage. They needed something that would change the war completely. And in the silence of hidden shipyards, deep under oceans and inside mountains, that something was being built. It began as whispers among the soldiers. "Have you heard of Project Dawn? They say it's a new weapon." "No, it's a ship. A monster of a ship." "They say it's bigger than anything we've ever made." No one truly knew. Only a handful of scientists, engineers, and generals had seen it. To the rest of the world, it was rumor, a legend, a story to keep hope alive. But the legend was real. Beneath the waves of the Atlantic Ocean, inside a colossal hidden dock, a skeleton of steel had slowly become a giant. It was not just a starship, it was a fortress. a blade forged for war. The humans called it the Resolute. Its hull stretched longer than the Council's battleships. Its armor was layered with experimental alloys tested in fire and vacuum. Its weapons were unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Missiles that could outsmart enemy defenses, cannons that could tear through shields, and a prototype energy weapon so unstable the scientists swore it should never be used. Yet mounted it anyway. But more terrifying than its size or its firepower was its purpose. The Resolute was not built for defense. It was built to strike back. The day of its launch arrived in silence. Thousands of workers stood in the shadows of the dock, watching as the massive ship slowly rose from the ocean. Water cascaded off its hull like rain. Engines roared to life, shaking the ground. The sky lit up as the Resolute climbed into the stars. On Earth, civilians gathered around screens, watching with wide eyes. Children cheered. Soldiers saluted. And for the first time since the Council's laughter, humanity felt not fear, but pride. The aliens noticed, too. A scout fleet at the edge of the system caught sight of the new ship. They sent hurried reports back to the Council. The humans have built something. A warship, massive, unlike anything we have seen. The Council scoffed at first. Exaggeration. They cannot match our fleets. But when the first images arrived, the chamber grew silent. The Resolute was real. The Council moved quickly. A fleet of 30 ships was sent to intercept and destroy it before it could be fully tested. The battle was supposed to be one-sided, 30 against 1. But the Resolute was not an ordinary ship. The alien fleet arrived in formation, weapons glowing, confident of victory. Their commander sneered. "Crush it. Let this be their final hope." Then the battle began. The Resolute's engines flared, moving the giant ship with shocking speed. Its cannons roared, firing round after round, tearing holes through alien shields. Missiles streaked into the dark, weaving past defenses and slamming into hulls. Alien ships exploded one by one, fire blooming like stars. The enemy fired back, but the Resolute's armor held. Its shields blazed with energy, absorbing blow after blow. It moved through the storm like a beast refusing to fall. And then the humans unleashed the prototype weapon. A beam of pure energy burst from the ship's core, striking the enemy flagship. The beam cut through its shields, its armor, its heart. In seconds, the flagship was gone, vaporized into dust. Silence fell across the alien fleet. Panic followed. The survivors fled, their commander gone, their ships burning. Out of 30 vessels, only a handful escaped. The Resolute drifted among the wreckage, its hull scarred but standing tall. Inside, the crew cheered. They had faced the galaxy's wrath and not only survived, they had won. News of the battle spread faster than light. To humans, the Resolute became a symbol. Proof that they were no longer prey. Proof that they could stand against the galaxy's strongest fleets. To the aliens, it was something else entirely. A warning. If humanity could build this now, what would they build next? In the council chambers, fear turned into dread. Members whispered among themselves. They should not have this power. We laughed at them once. Now they laugh at us. If they can destroy fleets with a single ship, what hope do we have? One elder spoke the words that chilled the room. If they can do this in 1 generation, in 1,000 years, they will rule the stars. The chamber fell silent. The galaxy had thought Earth's plea was weak. But now, with the Resolute rising through the stars, humanity had shown its answer. This was the turning point. And nothing would ever be the same again. The great chamber of the Galactic Council had never felt so heavy. Once, it had been a place of laughter, debate, and arrogance. A place where the strongest empires looked down on weaker worlds. A place where Earth's plea had been mocked. But now, silence ruled. Every delegate stared at the giant holoscreen floating above the chamber. On it played the same image. The Resolute, drifting through the wreckage of 30 alien warships, glowing like a monster born of steel and fire. The humans had done the impossible. And the galaxy could not look away. The first voice broke the silence. They cannot be allowed to continue. It was a delegate from the Tharax Empire, their body covered in sharp scales. This is not defense. This is the birth of conquest. Others growled in agreement, but a softer voice answered. Conquest? It came from the Lyrae, a species known for their wisdom, or survival. Did we not crush them first? Did we not force their hand? The chamber erupted with noise, accusations, fear, warnings. They will build more ships like this. Today it was 30 of ours, what of tomorrow? If they can defeat fleets now, imagine them in a century. The High Chancellor raised his staff, demanding order. Enough! His voice echoed through the hall. Slowly, the chamber grew quiet again. The Chancellor's eyes, old and tired, scanned the council. We are gathered here to decide the fate of humanity. Speak your truths, and let us see where the stars will guide us. A delegate from the core dominion, their body wrapped in armor plates, rose. Humans are dangerous. They are unpredictable, reckless, violent. If we let them live, they will spread like fire. We must act now. Gather our fleets. Burn their world before it is too late. Gasps filled the chamber. Burn Earth? The Lyrae delegate whispered, horror in her eyes. Billions of innocents? Do you not see? That is exactly why they fight. Because we treat them as prey. Because we show them no mercy. The core slammed a fist against the table. Mercy is weakness. The humans must be erased. Others joined in, shouting over each other. Erase them before they erase us. No, ally with them before they become unstoppable. They will never ally. They will never forgive. They are already more united than half this council. The chamber became chaos. While the council argued, shadows of doubt spread. The smaller empires whispered to each other. For centuries, they had lived under the rule of the great powers, forced into obedience, their voices ignored. But the humans had stood against those same powers and survived. And now, a dangerous thought crept into the minds of the weak. If the humans can rise, maybe we can too. The Chancellor struck his staff again, shaking the chamber. Silence! The voices slowly died, but the anger and fear still lingered. The Chancellor spoke with grave weight. I hear your cries. I see your fear. But let us remember this truth. We created this storm. We mocked their plea. We called them weak. We forced them to the edge. And now they have shown us their strength. His eyes darkened. So I ask you, is it wise to push them further? The question hung heavy in the air. For the first time, some delegates looked afraid not of what humanity might become, but of what the council itself had unleashed. One delegate finally whispered what many had begun to think. What if we have awakened a predator? The council chamber fell silent again. The image of the Resolute still hung above them, glowing in the dark. Some saw hope. Some saw terror. Some saw the future ruler of the stars. But all of them felt the same truth. The balance of power in the galaxy had changed, and it would never return to what it once was. In hidden corners of the galaxy, rebellion stirred. On human ships, soldiers prepared for the next strike. And in the council chamber, fear spread like fire, because the council knew they had mocked Earth once. Now humanity stood tall, and soon the stars themselves might tremble before them. The war had reached its breaking point. The council had made their choice. Fear won. Across the stars, fleets were gathered, hundreds of ships from dozens of species. It was the largest armada the galaxy had ever seen, and its target was one small blue planet, Earth. In their minds, this would be the end. Humanity would finally be crushed, their spark snuffed out before it became a wildfire. But humanity had prepared for this moment. On Earth, cities grew quiet. Families hid in bunkers, watching the skies. Soldiers stood ready in underground bases, their weapons polished, their hearts steady, and above the planet, the Resolute waited. Not alone, dozens of smaller human warships now circled it. Fighters, frigates, cruisers, each one built in secret shipyards. The council thought they would find a desperate world. Instead, they found an army. The human commander stood on the bridge of the Resolute. His face was pale, but his voice was steady. They come with numbers, he said. But we fight for something greater. We fight for our children, our homes, our right to exist. Let them come. The crew nodded. No fear. Only fire. Then the stars lit up. The Council Armada entered Earth's orbit, ships blotting out the night sky. Their weapons charged, glowing like a storm of suns. The alien commander broadcast his message across every channel. "This is your end, humans. Surrender your world or be erased," the Resolute answered. The human commander's voice carried across the void. "We begged once. You laughed. We stood once. You trembled. Now you bring war to our home? Then know this. We will never surrender. Not today. Not ever." And with that, the battle began. The sky erupted with fire. Alien fleets rained destruction toward Earth, but human defenses lit up the void. Missiles streaked like shooting stars. Cannons roared. Fighters weaved between enemy ships, striking at engines and weak points. The Resolute charged forward, tearing through the first wave. Its energy beam fired again, cutting a path through enemy cruisers. Explosions shook the darkness, painting the stars in fire, but the Council's numbers were overwhelming. For every alien ship destroyed, 2 more took its place. Human ships burned, their crews sacrificing themselves to hold the line. The battle was brutal, endless, a storm of fire and death. Then, at Earth's darkest moment, something unexpected happened. Among the Council fleets, a small group of ships broke formation. They turned, not toward Earth, but against their own allies. It was the Lyrae. Their leader's voice echoed across the battlefield. "We will not fight this slaughter. The humans have earned their place in the stars." Gasps spread through the Armada. Confusion followed. Then more ships broke away. The smaller empires, tired of being ruled, tired of fear. One by one, they joined humanity's side. The balance shifted. The battle became chaos. Council ships fired at rebels. Rebels fired back. Humanity struck in the middle, using the confusion to hit harder, faster. The Resolute pushed toward the enemy flagship, shields cracking, hull burning. Every hit shook the crew, but still they pressed on. Finally, the 2 giants met. The enemy flagship loomed before them, massive and armed with enough firepower to destroy Earth itself. The human commander gave the order. "All weapons, fire!" The Resolute unleashed everything. Missiles, cannons, beams, all struck the flagship in a storm of fury. The alien ship roared back, its blasts tearing through the Resolute's armor. Both ships burned. Both ships bled. But humanity refused to fall. With one final strike, the Resolute's energy beam pierced the flagship's heart. The alien titan erupted in fire, breaking apart, collapsing into nothing. The enemy armada froze. Their leader destroyed. Their fleets broken. And then they fled. The stars went silent. Wreckage drifted across the void. Fires faded, and in the center of it all, the Resolute remained, scarred, battered, but unbroken. Earth was still alive. The Council's power shattered that day. Some empires swore vengeance. Others swore loyalty. But all of them understood the same truth. Humanity had stood against the galaxy's greatest force and won. Back on Earth, the people stepped out of their shelters. They looked up at the skies, where human ships still shone among the stars. For the first time in history, they did not feel small. They felt infinite. In the council chamber, silence ruled once again. But it was no longer the silence of arrogance. It was the silence of fear, the silence of respect. Because the galaxy now knew the truth. The humans were no longer the weakest. They were no longer begging for protection. They were a power, a force, a storm. And one whispered thought spread across the stars. Perhaps one day the humans will rule them all.